Good afternoon. Good morning. Still morning, a couple minutes. My name is Karianne Santiago Ruiz. I'm an undergraduate at UMass Amherst, and my major is in public health. I'm an HEC alum as well. I came here to Massachusetts in 2015, right after I graduated from school in Puerto Rico. And I am a member of the National Puerto Rican Student Coalition. I am the New England Regional Liaison. And here my panelists are Delmarina, Mayrangelique, and Cristopher, Domi, and they will be presenting on what is it that they're doing right now in their communities.
Thank you, Karianne, and thank you all for being here. My name is Delmarina López. I am the Executive Strategist and Policy Director for the Executive Board of the National Puerto Rican Student Coalition. And then, it's a mouthful. Then, it's also a lot of work, so with the mouthful, it's a lot of work. And I'm also a Juris Doctorate candidate at Western New England University School of Law. So, I think they asked us to talk about a little bit of what we've done and why we're doing it. So what I have done, so let's take it back to Hurricane Maria. I've done a lot in the community, but Hurricane Maria was kind of like a pivotal moment for the Puerto Rican community because we realized how important it was to really get together and have structures in place so that we can help each other without trying to scramble. So when Hurricane Maria occurred, a few of our community leaders got together and we started something called Adopt a PR Family, which was an initiative where like the whole community came through, donated, and we specifically picked like one hotel and just like met their needs, whatever it was. And from that, I think after the occurrences of Hurricane Maria and realizing how scattered we kind of were as a community in general, not just Western Mass, that's where the NPRSC birthed. So the Puerto Rican Student Coalition birthed to make sure that all of the Puerto Rican student associations across the nation and in Puerto Rico, making sure that we had that link. We're working together, had resources to make sure that we have solid foundations on our campuses, resources for advocacy, job opportunities. So the NPRSC is kind of like an umbrella organization where every other like Puerto Rican student organization kind of falls under. They elect to fall under, and we have like a bunch, and we're working every day to make more and more connections. And so opportunities like this, where like this stems from the NPRSC, opportunities like a group of students were just flown out to DC for the Puerto Rico Advocacy Day, and that was through the NPRSC. There's just a lot of different facets that are going on, and my role on the board is to strategize to ensure that we are allocating the opportunities appropriately, that we are meeting the needs across the nation, and that all of our projects have like a solid foundation and strategy, as well as making sure that we're compliant by like legal policy. So that's what we're doing with the NPRSC, and the goal is to ultimately have, as like all the Puerto Rican student associations in the entire nation, hop on board, because we've already seen how much easier it is to build together when everyone has one umbrella they fall under. We had Encuentro, and NPRSC was one of the big, I wouldn't really call it sponsors because it wasn't money, but they put it together, and we had like youth from all over the nation come through and do something that I've never seen really done with youth before, where it was like dig deep into what our needs are and then how do we execute it. So oftentimes like we talk about how do we execute it and then we don't follow through with the execution because everybody goes back to their respective ways. But because we now have the NPRSC, everybody doesn't go back to their respective ways because we check in. So it was really effective, and we have some regional liaisons which are doing amazing work in their regions. We have some more representatives of NPRSC. Raise your hand if you're an NPRSC in the audience. So there's more here. There are just two right in this session. Talk to any of us. Any of us would be able to answer questions. If you know students who are doing amazing work around the Puerto Rican community or on their campuses, let us know. We would love to connect with them. I think that pretty much covers. Well, on campus, I also, I'm a part of ELSA, which is the Latino Law Student Association, and we're trying to figure out connections with the NPRSC that way. I'm also really involved in public interest work, so I've like organized conferences for public interest work. I was recently selected for an Equal Justice Works Fellowship, which is like, it's a post-grad opportunity, but a lot of it will be focused on doing work because it's in my community. I was really excited about that because usually they're in DC, but this will be the first time ever that our community has Equal Justice Works Fellowship, and they're really prestigious and like really high ranked, and it's really amazing to have that here, because there's nothing better than being able to do the kind of work that you do for your people. And so the population that I'll be serving are, like, it could be like your aunt and my uncle, you know what I mean? So that's really impactful for me, and that's really important, and that's something I really look to when I decide what I want to do with my career and where I want to invest my time.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. So my name is Cristopher, Lora, they call me Domi, and I'm part of Voluntary Restorative Justice Program here in Holyoke and in Holyoke High. So the question was what we have done in the
Yes,
past.
what have you done in the past, what are you currently doing, and what are the plans for the future?
So in the past we.
Oh, questions?
First question. Slow down.
Oh,
you want to write, sorry.
okay.
Relax.
Go ahead.
You good?
No, I was saying like, you haven't answered the first question, right? What are you guys doing now?
So we're answering like as a whole, what have we done, what are we doing now, and what are our plans for our future? Yeah, it's as a whole, it's not like
Okay.
separate questions.
Yes, that's what I was making sure. Go ahead.
So yeah. So in the past we just recently did a Hidden Legend project which we have some legends in the room but with help of superintendent and principal, and we got the opportunity to represent our people and people of color in our schools. We noticed that there was a big percentage of mismatch or like unbalance. So we have, most of our students are 85% Latino, Latinx, or students of color, and only like 25 are presented throughout the school by visuals or portraits. So with the help of our community and everybody in the school, we got the opportunity to make a wall of fame. There was already one in the school, so we decided to call it Hidden Legend, Paper City Hidden Legend, and in a way where we have visuals in the schools that our students can see that our people have done something for the community, and we're here and we're here to stay, and we should be recognized. Holyoke High School. Holyoke High School North. Collided. So right now we're doing White Power Project. White Power stands for Youth Participatory Research Action. So we're still deciding what we're going to do, but we're leaning more into disability justice. We feel like there's something big in our community. We just want people with different abilities to be represented and just be in community with us, no matter what they're going through. This community should be just that, sticking together. And that's what we're trying to figure out, and it's just combined in the future. So that's what we look forward to doing.
So this video I made it at WGBY in summer of 2018. So I'm going to show it first, and then I'm going to introduce the rest. That's very cool.
FEMA sabe cómo está Puerto Rico, y aquí hay un montón de casas todavía que aún más la estamos viendo a diario en las noticias. Entonces, estas comunicaciones, ahora estamos viendo casas que todavía no tienen techo, no tienen luz, no hay carretera, no hay camino. Hay personas que han perdido terreno porque se fue una avalancha del terreno y ahora tú no sabes cuál es su colindancia ni nada. Así que en Puerto Rico todavía no se ha levantado.
Trabajamos con niños con distintas condiciones severas, pagando los deducibles de medicamentos, laboratorios y tratamientos médicos. Pero, dadas las circunstancias de todo lo que nos ha tocado vivir a través del huracán María, siendo sensible con el dolor ajeno y esta población que ha estado tan vulnerable, los donativos que llegan adicional que no tienen que ver absolutamente nada con la parte económica, ya sea los pañales, las toallas desechables, los guantes. Pues sí, hemos hecho los acercamientos a todos esos hogares para poderlos apoyar en esa área específica.
Fíjate, ese lema cansa. Por eso fue un lema para ayudar y motivar. Pero nosotros que tenemos que seguir trabajando, wow, es fuerte. Porque Puerto Rico sigue trabajando, la deuda está, ningún banco se apiadó de ti, ninguna institución del gobierno se apiada de ti. Aquí te cobran los intereses, las contribuciones como quieras. Y si no pagas, me quedo con lo que tú quieres. Sencillo. Ve al bono Macao, el bono Macao no tiene molde. El bono Macao no tiene tiendas para tú salir a despejarte la mente, a comer tu mantecado, sentarte con tu familia. No. ¿Sabes? El mismo pueblo está en un deterioro terrible. Aquí no hay nada, tienes que irte a otros pueblos, a Fajardo o a Cagua, a Junco, a distancia.
Todos los seres humanos que de alguna manera u otra se afectaron, realmente hay que reconocer que lo que necesitan es el apoyo de todas esas organizaciones que estén en condiciones de tenderles sus manos.
I stayed in the island 2 weeks after the hurricane, and I came here for free in a private jet because Nelson Roman was trying to bring Puerto Ricans who lost everything at the last minute. And actually, I didn't stay that long, 2 weeks. I can't tell how bad things were, like how much hunger they passed or anything. I can't really say I lived that experience because I was the first Puerto Rican who landed here in Holyoke, actually. But I do have all of my family stayed in Puerto Rico, all of them. The only ones here are my sister and my mom. And my mom was the last one who came actually, and she did pass all those issues. She was hungry, and the military was sending food to the island, and you had to make a line for like 12 hours just to get like a bag of spaghettis or gandules, not real food, you know, not rice or meats, you know, it was like candy, chips, and comida en pote, you know, it wasn't canned food, yeah, exactly, thank you. So they wasn't even sending water that much. They had to disperse that around the island, and most of the water they wasn't sent to get a bath was from the river. And that I did pass through. I had to go to the river in my dad's car and get water and bring it back home, and then go back to the river and go get more water, because the government didn't really care. I remember I was listening to the radio about the storm, and there was a couple of elderly who didn't want to leave their home, who was in evacuation, and they died during the storm because no one went to rescue them because they didn't want to risk their firefighters or their policemen during the hurricane. So I know that there was 5,000 deaths during the hurricane, and after, who knows? Because there was no way to communicate. I was 2 weeks in the island, and I couldn't know about where my mom was because I did with my grandma, because my grandma was alone, and I didn't know if they were alive or if they were okay, you know. It's really frustrating. And still my dad is right back there, and sometimes he calls me and he said, I don't have light, it's been 3 days. It's been 3 days that I couldn't, you know, do nothing at the house because everything is based on electricity and gas. And what if you don't have those necessities, you know? It's not really fair for Puerto Rico that we have all this stuff and we know they don't have them. And we want to make a difference, but we have to ask ourselves if we are making a difference for us, who are Puerto Ricans living here, or if we are making a difference for them, who are actually suffering still, but they don't have electricity, sometimes they don't have food. Did you hear they was gonna suspend food stamps in Puerto Rico? They was gonna suspend them. They had to argue, go to the Congress and say, yeah, we need food, we need to eat, we need to feed our kids. How are you gonna cancel something that is so needed by people? Because every day you need to eat and every day you need to feed yourself to survive. And what if you don't have food, you don't have water? So what I want to do with my life, and I'm actually a student at STIC, I'm studying reproduction. I want to help the community by making videos about those people in need and about those small companies that can't pay a TV producer to say, I need to get people to know me. I want to help the community. I'm helping Puerto Rico by selling whatever you're selling. Let's say you have an ice cream store, but people don't come because you don't have a way to show yourself, to promote yourself. And that's what I want to do. I want to promote those small companies or nonprofit companies get forward and to help Puerto Rico and other Hispanic races. It doesn't have to be Puerto Rico. What about Mexico? Right about the time that Hurricane Maria passed through Puerto Rico, Mexico had a 0.5 terremoto, earthquake, and they was worse than Puerto Rico, and nobody talked about Mexico. But why? Because Mexico is not part of the United States, but it almost was. Texas wanted Mexico to be part of their state. So why do we forget about them? What's the difference between races? Thank you.
Now the floor is open to questions to either one of the panelists.
Are you my
Yeah.
Okay. Where did you start the video?
I started in NPR. I was working, as I said, in Springfield at
What
WGBY.
city too? Like, do you remember what city you started the video in?
Excuse me.
The city.
¿Qué pueblo?
Humacao.
Humacao.
Yeah.
Mi familia es de Sierra y de San Juan, so when I went back, it was still looking like that, but worse, I saw family with no roofs over their houses, so it looked like exactly where we just went in June. It still looks like that.
Yeah. No, Sierra is really close to Humacao. It's like half an hour.
So, hi, thank you all for what you're doing, and it's a great day, very informative, and I wish you all the goals and working for you. I see things peripherally, like on Facebook, and I have Facebook connections with people who are going there on vacation. And it's astonishing to me because like the news media is not covering everything that's going on in the island, and I have an awareness that elsewhere outside of Elvis, as someone, it's not good, right? So you can't get through, they're cutting off aid, it's an island that's has to import everything, they're not getting construction money, they're not getting, they're being treated like second-class citizens, and then also very highly reliant on tourism. And then also the debt crisis. So how is that, or do you have an understanding, or can you explain it in a way that understand this, like this picture that's not real, that people are going there on vacation, but the rest of the island is still suffering? And then how do we make that awareness here, because they're catering to tourism, which helps and provides employment, but it's not sustainable over the longer term. It's not, encouraging education. It's not investment in facilities. It's not fixing the hospitals. It's not putting roofs on houses. And it tends to be the service industry, which is a low wage. So I'm not sure what my question is, but how do we create that reality of what is going on in the rest of the island? When people are going there to lay on the beach, and it's a lovely thing to do, but there seems to be a real urgency about bringing attention to what's really going on the rest of the island.
So I think it's really important, and this is not just a Puerto Rico issue. When you go somewhere that is not your island and it's not your place, you have to be ethical about your tourism. So Puerto Rico it relies heavily on turismo. That's the reality. So it's not a good idea to not go on vacation to Puerto Rico. But it is a good idea when you go on vacation to these places that are not necessarily doing as well to eat at a mom and pop's restaurant and not eat at Chili's. So it's a matter of like making ethical choices when you go there. Puerto Rico needs people to go travel. I've gone on vacation to Puerto Rico twice this year on purpose because I want to make sure I'm supporting my island. I could have gone anywhere else, but I want to be there. So it might mean I'm in traffic for like an extra hour than usual. It might mean I can only spend 3 hours on the beach instead of 5. But you have to be ethical about what you're doing. You go and you support local hotels and local Airbnbs. Everything you do, make sure it's local. Because at the end of the day, you're right, the aid is not coming. And it's really interesting, the whole food stamps thing, because if we look at historically why food stamps are even in Puerto Rico, is because the U.S. thought we weren't feeding ourselves properly from the land, and that we weren't good enough to make our own food. But here now you make people depend on your food that you bring, you change their whole diet and you want to take it away. So when you do that, how are you going to feed yourself? Because now nobody knows the agriculture now except for the elders. And the young people are so stuck on this career and this fantasy that they have fed the young people. Like, you must go to college, you must do this, but they don't know how to work the land anymore. And so it is very sad. And the only way to do that is to support people on the ground. Go to Puerto Rico, travel, but also don't just stay in San Juan. I mean, San Juan doesn't even have the prettiest beaches on the island. Right? Go to Culebra, check that out. Culebra was highly impacted, and almost everything in Culebra is local. It's a little island off of Puerto Rico.
It's the island municipality.
It's under Vieques.
Yes, it's like a little ferry ride or a little plane ride over. Almost everything on that island is local. Because they're not really interested in investing in a little tiny island and putting things that are not local. So go support that. Go check Vieques out. Go check.
The people from Vieques and Culebra actually had to do their groceries at the main.
They still do.
They
They
have
still
to.
do.
They have to.
There's no grocery store.
The lanchas are not working at day once. They had to stay for over 24 hours waiting for the lancha to work.
They still do. You have to plan to take your car onto the lancha, which is like a $40 fee, which is a lot when you're having to do that constantly to do groceries. You take the car onto the lancha, and then you have to go to Caguas, to like Costco and stuff, and try to stock up as much as possible. Stay overnight because the lanchas are super unreliable. I mean, I went on vacation and I took the lancha because I wanted to be like ethical and support, and I could have easily taken that flight, but I didn't. And we waited for 6 hours for the lancha. 6 hours late. Not that we were waiting in line for, no, it was 6 hours late. So if this is your mode of getting groceries, and now you don't even have food stamps because they're taking that away, and then like, so what do? You have to invest the money back into the island. And you have to invest it into the right people. And that goes for everywhere, not just Puerto Rico. If you go to Mexico, don't just go to like the US-owned restaurants. In fact, don't go there. Go to the local spots. Do that everywhere you go. We have to make ethical choices, and it's up to us to do that, because there's no brochure for it. You've got to figure out, you've got to do your own research, and it is our duty.
This is not a question, I just want to add that I know from working with groups of young, and actually all ages, really, even 60 and 70-year-olds, farmers, people that are working farm and bringing their produce to market. And there are farmers markets, maybe not as fancy as our farmers markets, but they have a few things and they keep happening. And they are in networks in the town where people live, and then there are major ones that go maybe to Cabo Rojo, or maybe they go to San Juan. And there is a cooperative of all these growers, and here where I live we have a sister co-op relationship, and we chose this vehicle because we knew that this co-op will reach out to all the other groups of farmers throughout. So that's one thing. Many young people are very much involved in learning about the land and rescuing the land back again and producing it. So
I want to say something. Like, my sister this summer, she got a job through Mass Hire. It was on a farm, and everything you grew, it would be yours. And Puerto Rico doesn't do that. They can hire you to go to a McDonald's or hire you to go to work as a secretary, but they won't teach you to go to farm and grow your own food. And I think it's necessary since Puerto Rico is a tropical island, you can grow almost anything, anything. You know?
We did for so long.
So long. But what I mean by that is that we can grow things that aren't naturally from PR. You can bring something from Spain and it will grow in PR because the earth is so good. It haven't been contaminated by petroleum or stuff like that. Anything can grow in PR.
Yes. Thank you all for your presentations. I mean, I have a lot of questions, but I'm just going to focus on one. This is particularly for Domi, but also for the two of you as well, in terms of engaging other youth and young people and millennials in these kinds of conversations and the activism that you all are involved in, whether it's at the restorative justice level at the high school or even at the community level when you're either college, university like you're doing right now at the law school or beyond. But how do you get people to do the buy-in, right? How do you get your friends and the youth to really understand the serious issues that are happening in the community here, and also how that's relational to what's happening in Puerto Rico and elsewhere? What's the way in which you're able to really get people motivated and say, yeah, this is important, I want to participate in this group and really do something?
So we do assemblies and besides the assemblies and all presentations that carry on in school, we really emphasize on building those relationships with students, right? Going the extra mile with the students and talking to them, just building relationships where if they don't know, we teach them. We also have our CAD meetings, which are open to the community. We invite each and every student to come and bring their parents to this CAD. In the CAD is where we talk about these issues and we talk about everything that has to be talked about. We try to come up with a plan with our community members and with our youth to see how we're going to go forward with our issues. We do try to build that issue. We do go to the to collaborate and connect with our youth so that we can learn. CAD meetings, community advisory.
I think that it depends on the way you talk to kids and youth, because they're not interested in being an hour just listening to you talk. That's what happens most of the time on classes, is you are just listening to the teacher talk and talk and talk, and you are like, because you don't care. The only way you're gonna care about what they're teaching you is if you do something about it. Like, let's say they're teaching you about farms and how to do everything by paper, but if you don't actually go to the farm and do it, you won't learn. You won't have it stuck on your brain because you never try to do it. You never learn it on a fun way. Let's say it like that, on a fun way. Yeah, because most of kids and youth, they concentrate on something they like and where they can have fun. If it's something boring, you won't learn nothing. You won't care.
So for me, so you're asking me academically and then like through other work. So on an academic level, it's about making sure that we give space for our people to speak. So at the law school, every year we have a Gleason speaker, which is supposed to be like a top tier public interest person, and it's this really like bougie thing. It is. So we made sure that we had buy-in from professors who were interested in like moving forward the Puerto Rican agenda. And our Gleason speaker right after Maria was a public interest attorney from Puerto Rico, Annette Martinez, and she's like amazing. And so she came in and we had a crucial conversation with all the students were invited, and like a lot of students showed up about what students can do here, what students could potentially do on the island, and what was actually going on. Because a lot of it is information on an academic level. So having those crucial conversations and making sure that we're giving space for our people, that'll have buy-in. Because when you're in academia, like that's what you want. You want to know what you can do. You want to have the appropriate information. Now, from an NPRSC level, the buy-in comes through what can we offer you. And that's something we often forget when we're asking people to buy in. Like, you can't just ask youth for something and then not offer them something in return. So for us, it's we're asking you to be engaged. We're asking you to have structure and like work with us and give us some of your time sometimes when we have things like Encuentro, which are amazing opportunities, but that requires your time. But what we're giving you back in return is this amazing network. we're giving you back in return these amazing opportunities, and we want you to advance. So buy-in has to be two ways. Everything in life has to kind of be two ways. Like if you're not getting something out of a relationship, regardless of what it is, whether it's like a friendship or like a work relationship or something you're investing your time in, you're not going to want to continue to invest your time in it. So we do that very consciously. We make sure that when we propose some kind of project on like a board level, we know it's going to trickle down. We've got to have a plan on, and that's where the strategy comes in, a plan on, we're like, okay, this is what we want, what can we give them for it? And that doesn't always mean money. Sometimes it means a flight to DC, and that's like a really cool thing. But sometimes it literally just means like, here's a document that will provide you structure. Because we want you to have structure, but we want you to get something out of it.
We had a question over here, and then we'll go right over here.
So this is a lot like a follow-up question. I'm a student here at HCC, and I'm in the Latinx Empowerment Club as well as Latinx Studies. I'm one of two Latinx Studies majors here, just opened up. And so, have you given any thought to how, and more specifically, the way that you talk to people, the way that you engage people, but have you given any thought to how journalists alike could change their agenda to motivate mainland Puerto Ricans to migrate, or migrants to engage in the island's politics? And that kind of speaks to what you were saying on
The NPRSC.
yeah, and how you have to bring something to them.
So I can answer that for mine, and then you guys can probably figure something on yours end too, because you guys have to do the same thing. You have to engage Puerto Rico. But from the NPRSC, we made sure a lot of things that happen on the mainland kind of stay on the mainland. And the purpose of the NPRSC is to not stay just on the mainland. So we have like people that are affiliated with us on the island and here. So we had Encuentro here, and then it was equally important to have an Encuentro in Puerto Rico, and we had one of those. We have organizations we work with there. We have like regional liaisons in Puerto Rico, so that not only are we reaching back, but we're also hearing what their actual needs and concerns are. Because oftentimes over here we're doing guesswork. Like we're like, oh, we think they need water. We think they need, no, what do they need? Hear it from their mouths. Yep. So that's one of our main priorities on the NPRSC, is making sure that we are literally listening to their needs, because we cannot move forward the diaspora's agenda without moving forward their agenda.
So back from my end, we're based in the school, in the high school. So engaging Puerto Rico for us is like a bit different. So in those connections that we build with the students, we figure out what their needs are, or like if they, for example, have been staying in a motel for like whatever time it is, we try to connect them with community leaders like Auntie Betty, where and she goes there and does her thing, and we try to find those everything that they need and engaging and going back and see what every student needs, because our work from the school is a little bit different.
Well, I'll try to hit up Puerto Rico by student donations. There's actually a guy who's not like a company or something. He's just a guy who likes to send donations to PR. In California, since after the hurricane, Domi and everything passed through there. So he actually works on a dealer on Main Street here in Holyoke, and he can take anything you have as a donations, and they send it to either California or Puerto Rico, depends on what it is and what are their needs.
We got a question over here.
Yes, thank you again for all the work that you're doing. It's so inspiring. I work at the Boston Public Schools, and we have a lot of displaced students that are still coming too. And I wanted to know a little bit more about, from your friends, and not just the college, I really want to hear about like the K-12, because that's where many of our students are. Like what kinds of supports are needed? You said a little bit about Holyoke High School, but just from your friends, other Puerto Rican students, what do they need? What more supports are needed for addressing the needs of our Puerto Rican students who are in our public schools?
Well, there's a lot of need. But let me tell you a story about a guy I met. He was on 12th grade. He was accepted by every college he applied to, even Harvard. And he moved here after Hurricane Maria, and he quitted school to help their family in Puerto Rico. So I think first of all what we need is someone to help them not quit their dreams just because they need to help their family. I mean, it's not our responsibility to take care of our parents. Of course we're gonna be upset, of course we're gonna want to help, but we shouldn't stop our dreams to help them. And I think that there should be somebody in every high school who can like show you around the city. Like if you just came from any place, you don't know where to get information, where to get your math help or all the stuff, how are you gonna do it? Most of the parents who come don't speak English, so they can't communicate with everyone. And even though this is a city where a lot of people speak Spanish, it's not like that everywhere. Like I was in Delmarina, Florida for 3 months, and it was a lot of racist people over there. That if I said a word wrong, they would start yelling at me like, and I'm like, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm sorry, you know. So I think in school you have to have like a small group with those specific people who they can, like, let's say I learned where to find something I needed, so I can give the information to somebody else who might need it, you know. I think that's what we need, like a social worker specifically for Hispanic people.
And also, like, I'm all about strategic relationships, and like right next to you, you have Betty Medina, who literally could answer this question for hours and hours on end, because this is what she does for work. So I don't know if you know Betty, but now you know Betty. She's got all the answers for that.
We have a question here, then here, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4.
This is a question for Mike. So I know you're producing videos and you're trying to raise awareness. Where can people find you? That's one.
I have a YouTube channel.
Right, so can you maybe just say the name so I can write it down?
It's my name. If you can't spell it,
it's in the book, it's in the book.
It's written on.
Open the page in the book.
Also,
Are you like in the works of producing anything right now on the island? Are you in the works of producing anything right now that has to do with the island or anything?
But I kind of stopped my schedule of going to VR until my daughter's birthday because no one of my family has met her. But when I do, I actually wanted to make a video about Puerto Rico's art, since you don't hear that much about it. Most of the people don't know who was Julia de Burgos. How many here knows who's Julia de Burgos? Yeah, like
different crowd. Yeah, these people know.
Yeah, sure.
That's the general population that you have a point.
What about El Velorio de Ayer? Who knows about it? Yeah, that's like 4 people. It's a lot of art and PR who people doesn't know about. I was talking to one of the coordinators of the Puerto Rican parade from Connecticut, I think last year. And she was saying, I don't really like the essence they write for me because I want to know why are you proud of being Puerto Rico. But they say, oh, because I eat lechon, I eat arroz con gandules, we dance reggaeton, but what do you know about its history? Why is the motto there? Why did they build it in 1800s? Like, they don't know about the history or the art history or the poets or anything. So I want to show, next time, I want to go to the museums and show this is actual Puerto Rico, this is our history, this is what we are, and this is what we can do.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about environmental issues. And one of the things that I also, and I just need your idea of how to go about it. So, of course, obviously, we need to work with Puerto Rico and all islands, you know, it is not just Puerto Rico or New York City, but in any coastal spaces, and especially where our marginalized communities are going to be feeling that impact most. There are many environmental groups that youth are part of in high schools and in colleges. And one particular group is called Youth Environmental Activists or something like. So in the school that I had contact with, I was able to get the students motivated. Every year they have a fundraiser that they do, and they focus over into getting information for this project. And I was able to link them with a group in Puerto Rico called Enlace, who's working to deal with the pollution in Peña and the communities affected by that. And it was a great change, of course, because of everything that people are being asked to do beyond living, just having to deal with everything that's at them. It was a little bit disorganized and it's all understandable, but we did have some connection. I was able to get the people that in Vermont organized to do a little video, and I brought it over there and they showed it to someone, I don't know who to say. But my idea was like, these kids in Vermont were able to fundraise like $3,000–4,000, and this is a small high school. Could you imagine if this got multiplied by all the high schools that are and all the college environmental activist groups?
It would be a lot of tasks.
It would be quite an impact, not only in money exchange, but in awareness and in people, like these kids were so much, they wanted to go, they wanted to do work in Martin Peña, they wanted to meet the students, they wanted to meet the high school students that didn't have a school to go to, but that couldn't happen. So it's just an idea to throw, and if you, anything you could send my way. I've been in touch with all the organizers in López, and they just changed leadership, and again, I don't know where that's going to be going, but.
So you're looking for ideas from us, or is it?
I'm trying to put in the plug-in for anyone that has connection with environmental youth groups. I do have a lot of faith in the youth, and they have demonstrated that they're amazing. So, but also to just see, like in Macau, in wherever you are from, how do we connect people? Are there any programs? Is there anything that is happening?
Well, the education in Puerto Rico is really bad. Like, they don't even have laptops. They have the laptops, but they don't even turn on. So I don't think of where you can connect to Puerto Rican students unless you talk to the principal of their schools. But they don't really care. There's a lot of companies who want to do stuff with kids, but like the school itself don't promote those activities. Like, oh, you do it. It's your own time after school. You do whatever you want. So they don't motivate the youth like to come and learn about stuff, any kind.
So you don't have the after school groups that
They
So
have.
if I can pitch in. So like on a university level, for example, last year I was president of Alternative Spring Break. And Alternative Spring Break is a place, like we go every year, the law school takes students to a different place in the US to do work, public interest work. And that encompasses environmental work. And so last year, because I was president, I got to choose where we went to Puerto Rico. And so a group of law students went to Puerto Rico and worked with La Inter, and which is the Inter-American University. They have a law school, and they have a phenomenal program that does work around public interest and environmental issues. So I think the way to do that is, I get that money is necessary and you need to pay for things and you need to donate, but actually going and doing the work is sometimes more impactful. So we had students who went there and we spent our spring break out of our pocket because that's what we wanted to do, that was our money buy-in. And we did work surrounding issues of like housing, environmental issues, and we worked with already existing organizations, and I think that might be the way to buy in. So you figure out what the organizations that are already doing the work are there, and then it requires your own research because there's no brochure for this, and then you figure out how you can pitch in and ask them how you can pitch in. So we asked, how can we help? They were like, you can help by coming and doing some legal research and doing some memos for already existing cases. And that's what we went and did. So there are ways to reach out, and that was on a university level, but on a high school level, like there are organizations in Puerto Rico that are doing amazing things. We, through the NPRSC, have connected with a lot of these high school students who are invested in doing the work. It's a matter of going, and if you have questions about organizations, reach out to us. The NPRSC, we have a whole list of organizations who we work with, and those students are doing the work. They are. They care, they're doing the work, and it's super invested, and that's how you can connect with them.
Yeah, you can't like connect directly to the school because the school is not gonna care. Like the school have its clubs, obviously like here, but let's say I was in a basketball team in Puerto Rico. All of the other schools may have have their uniforms, but we didn't. Because my school didn't care about those little details. You have to like look for the students' opinions instead of for the school itself. And you want, if you go to school and you say how many students you have that are interested in this career, they won't know because they don't ask us what we want. They don't ask us what we want to learn or what clubs we want to have. They just open what they want. Basketball because you can go international competing, you know, or soccer or ping pong or whatever. But those kind of clubs like yours, the Restorative Justice Program, we don't have that in Puerto Rico. My school didn't have none of that, and we might have a lot of spelling or
I mean, we do have that though, because NPRSC does work with these organizations, it's just a matter of finding them. They exist, they're not at every school, but they do exist.
But that's what I'm saying, that you won't find them just by calling them. You have to like talk more to the students because most of the schools don't care.
I mean, some of these organizations, like to be fair, are school sponsored. It's just a matter of like what they have access to, and you're not going to find them at every school. So like that might be your personal experience from your school, but there are other schools that are doing amazing work. It's just a matter of like reaching out to those schools, and then potentially you can make connections between that school and the school that doesn't have it. But that requires some groundwork. So already working with the ones that are already existing, that's the best way to, because you're asking for advice on how to go about it. The best way is to go with the ones that are already existing. We have resources. Centro has resources. They have listings. Centro has like really amazing maps where like you can see the kind of organizations they're doing, like from an island level, and like you can kind of click in on what kind of things you want. You should. It's really cool. It's super amazing AI technology. So use Centro's resources. That's what they're there for. That's why we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in making these things available, so that we can use them.
Yeah. So do you see research to difference the public schools from the private ones because they don't even teach with the same curriculum. Everything is super different.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we have 2 more questions in the back, or 1, 2, and someone else? 3. And I'm sorry, but we can't take any more questions.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Yeah, 5 minutes left.
I'll be quick. How does one go about starting a chapter of NPRSC?
Oh, hey. So I can answer that after, so we don't take up questions. So come see, come see one of us.
Anyone else as well?
There's plenty of us.
Yes.
Come see one of us.
Yeah. And you should also attend this afternoon's breakout session. They will all be there.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, more of a comment on what the young man here with the media question was asking about. Yeah, look, I grew up in the 60s where youth was the driving force. And many of us today hope that that's the case because we really need you guys.
Oh, just don't worry, we got you.
Now, the media reports newsworthy events. The case of Puerto Rico is compelling and newsworthy. But we, no one else, we have to make that case. It's really never done before that way. We need to define ourselves. Why? Because if we're going to have the public behind us, we need public interest, we need public sentiment, we need public opinion sway in our favor in order to be able to to have Congress and others make the decision. And I'm praying and hoping that you young people will be out there to get in the streets wherever you need to go, be as organized as you can, and make this case to the public. It needs to be made. It's good and important that we collect data as the Centro is doing. It's good and important that we have these conferences, but these are here among ourselves. We need to make a public case, and we're the ones to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just actually kind of adding to that. I was just interested, so I'm a PhD candidate at University of Michigan, but I'm from Connecticut, and that's where I do my research. I'm interested because we have, like you two on this side are students, undergrad, graduate students. We have people in the K through 12 system as well. I'm just interested in how we can engage with, I guess maybe this Puerto Rican coalition is part of engaging that, but I'm interested in how we can use the people that we have here to engage in a way that's both academic and community oriented, because I think that's the biggest thing especially when you get to like my education level, it's very easy to not engage with the community, which is why I came all the way from Michigan to come to this. So I do think it's important that, like, how can we make sure that we are all engaging in each other. Because in this room, it's very cool. You can hear the differences and whatever. But when you go to like the Puerto Rican Studies Association, you don't get projects like your project, your video project, which is stuff that I work with. So I'm just interested in like what ideas we have, or if there's a space in here, since there's a lot of youth in here, that we can create, or some mailing list or something that we can take from this.
And Maria can,
Yeah.
in order,
So this is the question because this is literally NPRSC, so I get to sell it to you. So this is what the NPRSC does. We don't only focus on academics, we focus on community, and that's why we do things like send students to like the Puerto Rican Advocacy Day in DC, and have them be involved in the advocacy process. I think if you have questions about how you can get your organization, or we are working with Connected, come see me, just like we told the gentleman over here. That's the point. The point is to create a structure so that everyone is working together. Because you're right, sometimes when we're in these spaces, it's a collective of a lot of people who would know who Huda and Burgos is and who are doing the work, and then you go outside and that might not be the reality for everyone else. But that's the work we have to do. This is the groundwork. I mean, going back to the gentleman's comment, like we are doing that. We're trying to make sure that we're at the forefront. It takes time, and we have been doing it. The youth have been working. We have been in the media. It's hard because sometimes the narrative that's put out is not necessarily the best, but then you also have to be responsible what media you're intaking. So like, are you going to Fox News, or are you going and watching Presencia on WGBY? You know?
I would like to add a little follow-up on that, particularly with the conversation about media. Yes, there are outlets that are not accessible or available, or that they don't care at all. It's only about selling the news. But there are others who do care, and they need to engage more, and we want that engagement. I'm speaking on my behalf from representing Holyoke Media, but I'm so proud to see also 4 different mediums here, like WGBY, NPR, So Latino, and Más Live. So we're here, and I want to offer Holyoke Media as a platform to do all sorts of not only putting out information, but to generate it and become the hub that can create this type of content and platform and support training and a way to make this movement something that has everything, including that exposure that we know sometimes from the mainstream media is really hard to get.
And you can also engage with WGBY Presencia. So like if you're doing work around this, you should watch Presencia. It's available online, and it's available on TV, but if you're not in the area, it's available online at WGBY.org. Look it up. And if you want to get engaged with Presencia, literally in this room you have the executive producer and like another producer. So right here, Vanessa and Veronica sitting right in front of you, that's who you want. That's who you want to engage with.
Last comments by Mayrangelique.
Talking about media itself, any media student, if you want to make a study video, let's say I'm studying for making videos. If you want to make a video for free, you can come to me because I'm promoting myself, my skills, and I should be promoting you. But since I don't have a certificate yet, or an associate, or bachelor's, whatever, I can do it just to learn and gain experience, plus promote you. And any student of media can tell you they can do it for free. And if they want, just go and find another person.
We could pay you. I go to an R1, we could pay you. I'm just asking if the work is there, we can pay it. We just need to know, in academia, we need to know that it's there.
It's there. It's there.
It is.
Thank you guys so much.